transphobia still exists and is widely common. There are genuinely people out there who think that you're a kid, this is a phase, or you don't actually know what you're talking about. I know that I'm trans. I didn't say one day, I just want to try out being trans. No, so just suck it up.
Zaya Wade, child of Dwayne Wade, recently came out as transgender, sparking much debate and controversy across social media. More on that later. First, I wanted to address the broader LGBTQ movement and how activists strategically merged blackness and queerness into a single issue. While the black elite in Hollywood, academia, and mass media tend to fall in line when it comes to LGBTQ narratives, things get a lot more hazy when it comes to those who identify with black working class, conservative, religious, and hip-hop communities. In this video, I'll explore the nuances of how and why these groups diverge, as well as the underpinnings of activist movements that rode the racial justice wave in order to advance their own agendas.
Thousands of people marched the streets supporting the LGBTQ+ community with a 20 by 200 foot long pride flag.
I think pride is important because it lets us be us, who we are. We get to come out. You get to see other people that look like you.
Notice how the black and brown stripes have been coupled with the light blue and pink stripes on the pride flag.
The rainbow flag has been updated again to mark Pride Month. In 2017, Amber Hikes for the city of Philadelphia introduced a version with black and brown stripes added to represent communities of color. Just a year later, Daniel Quasar redesigned the flag to include the transgender community, creating the Pride Progress flag. The design incorporates the trans flag.
I was at Pride, and myself and Patrice Colors, who's one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter, we showed up, and I had a sign that says, "I will protect black cis women," and she had a sign that said, "I will protect black trans women."
When we say all Black Lives Matter, we mean black trans folks, we mean black queer folks. There's a significant amount of queerness and transness happening on the front lines. The historic narrative of black people has been fighting for black, cis, hetero, Christian men, both their lives, but also them being at the forefront of the conversation. It was very important opening up the frame around Black Lives Matter being more than just the killings of young black boys, but rather a call for all black lives.
So as you can see, activists like Patrice Colors effectively subsumed queerness into blackness. In fact, she made it clear that her intention was to divert attention away from black men in order to prioritize black women, and more specifically, black queer and trans folk. Ashley Preston further reinforces this point by explicitly stating that black liberation can't happen without first addressing LGBTQ narratives.
I have been around black people who believe that LGBTQ black narratives aren't an inconvenience or a distraction from black liberation in general, but that black liberation can't happen without it.
Black liberation can't happen without it.
And so we took this beloved symbol in the LGBT community, which is the rainbow flag, very simple, and we did something I think it's still incredibly simple, added 2 stripes, one black, one brown, to represent LGBTQ people of color and to stand in solidarity with them and really call out kind of the rest of the country and the world to say, we're addressing it and y'all can either like get with it or you can stay back here. So we raised it on a Thursday, and then by Friday it had gone national, as you know personally, and we got international by Friday, which you know all too well.
Well, in my Emmy speech, I mentioned, putting on imaginary capes. Tonight, this cape is not imaginary. It's rainbow colored, and we got the black and brown. I'm repping my community.
Often we have this dichotomy that where it's like, if you're a part of the black community, then you need to focus on the upliftment of black people. We actually do, but in our intersections. So I fight for the liberation of black lesbian women, black women, black people, LGBT people. I can fight for everybody.
It's a put down to associate being black with homosexuality.
Well,
it's a disgrace to black people who have died, black and whites who fought for the freedom of black Americans based on skin color.
It's a put down to do that.
One of the great African American, one of my great role models, Audre Lorde, said something to the impact of, there's no such thing as single issue struggles because we're not single issue people.
There was a sort of thing for black folks where it was like, let's focus on this one issue that's called blackness, and then once we get that down, then we could focus on the other things. But that's actually a very harmful narrative because blackness is everything.
So this is an important point, and something I want to take time to deconstruct. Colors and Butler are saying that blackness is not a single concept, but rather an umbrella term that encompasses many viewpoints and lifestyles, i.e. queerness and transness. In fact, Colors clearly states that not taking this perspective is harmful. But if they were truly serious about including the views of all black people, they would almost immediately hit a wall of resistance. In simple terms, the black community appears to be completely polarized when it comes to LGBTQ issues. Circling back to Zaya Wade, her public transition clearly illustrates just how at odds black people are with the idea of transness.
Me and my wife Gabrielle Union, we are proud. When I say proud, we are proud parents of a child in the LGBTQ plus community, and we're proud allies as well. So once Zaya, 12-year-old, came home, first Zion born as a boy, came home and said, "Hey, so I want to talk to you guys. I think going forward, I want to be referenced as she and her. I would love for you guys to call me Zaya." And so internally, now it's our job to make sure that we give our child the best opportunity to be, her best self.
Dwayne Wade, you gone too fucking far, dog. That is a male, a 12-year-old. At 12, they don't even know what their next meal gonna be. They don't have shit figured out yet. He might meet a woman, anything, at 16 and fall in love with her. But his dick be gone. How you gonna, bruh, you going too far, dog.
You have these young children that are being encouraged to mutilate their own bodies, to go on puberty blockers, to go get surgery.
Don't cut his fucking dick off, Dwayne Wade, bruh. You fucking tripping, dog.
I am just so proud of you, being just an amazing role model and embracing your truth.
I will say this, and everybody's gonna hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
Right.
Sorry.
You feel that?
I know that for a fact. Like, if you want me to call you a her, I will, because that's what you want. But that doesn't make you a woman just because I call you a her and just because you got a surgery.
Can men get pregnant?
Depends. I know.
What does it depend on?
I know trans men that can get pregnant.
That means it's a woman. Only one sex can get
that's
pregnant.
A circular argument. That's
it's not a circular
question.
argument.
Yeah.
It's proving my thing. There is a truth, a concrete truth. You have to be born with a uterus to have a baby. Can men give birth?
Sometimes.
Can men get their period? Can you help my audience? Can men get their period?
Some can.
Blackness is everything.
Again, Patrice is very clear in her stance that blackness encompasses all viewpoints. So now I'd like to examine how the concept of queerness is perceived in hip-hop and working class communities, particularly among black men.
Everybody in high school be like, "Yo, you acting like a fag. You acting like, dawg, you gay?" And I used to deal with that. You try to separate yourself from it so much that it made me homophobic. By the time I was through high school, like, anybody that was gay, I was like, "Yo, get away from me."
You ever go on Boss? Hey, and I'll give you these flowers for free.
Hey, man, ain't no motherfucking bitch, man. Fuck wrong with you, man.
What you mean, yo?
Idiot, huh? Fuck wrong with you, man.
You just destroyed the flowers.
I'm soft or something? Fucking bitch. This shit, man.
Yo, they're just flowers.
Fuck out of here, man. Ain't no bitch.
I'm just feeling good today. I'm giving my customers flowers.
You think I'm a bitch or something, bro? I don't need no fucking flowers, bro. Yeah, what the fuck you giving me this for?
I'm just feeling good today.
You think I'm a bitch or something, bro?
I'm not, bro, I'm not disrespecting you. I'm just saying there's just flowers.
I don't want that shit, bro.
I got you. Calm down.
Give me what the fuck
I got you. What you so mad about, yo?
It's like I would really discriminate. Like, I use the word fag, like always condescending towards gays and look down upon gays. To me, like, that's one of the standards of hip hop. Is to be like, "Yo, you fag."
But all these faggot niggas rapping about bass. Looking so pretty, you'd have thought I was a faggot. Yeah. Big Brett told me that I'm not a faggot. Big Brett laid, I smother a faggot.
Yo, faggot ass niggas out there. You niggas better buy Fat Joe's records, faggot.
Radically rebellious to the fuckery and the faggotry.
Fucking faggot, you know I could have been stuck to you.
You a dick jumping faggot, you a mascot.
Fellas.
Lights up.
Fellas, if you ain't sucking nigga dick in the parking lot, put your cell phone lights
Let's be real about this shit.
Yeah, keep it fucking real.
Some of y'all niggas suspect as a motherfucker. Let's be real.
You put the word gay on somebody in the black community, all hell breaks loose. We don't like to see men being gay and all that.
Hey, so what that is on your...
Oh, this is special. No, this is special.
What is it?
Yeah, my boyfriend got me this, like... What? What?
Yo, man, what's your problem, man?
No problem. I said, I can move if you want.
I ain't ask you to move, nigga. I'm trying to talk to my girl. You acting all weird and shit.
Yo, girl.
Yeah, man. Yo, this is my ex, Lisa, man.
My nigga, that's a man.
What? Nah, man, this is my ex.
Your ex-girlfriend a man. Why you think she in jail with the men? She'd be on the other side. Nigga, you gay.
Nah, I mean, she...
Sexuality is a spectrum. You can really do whatever you want.
Nah, that boy gay as hell.
Let's further examine how queerness is perceived in black communities outside of the United States. We'll use Uganda as an example.
Uganda's parliament has passed a bill which would criminalise people who identify as LGBTQ, with those found guilty facing up to 10 years in prison. Under the proposed legislation, friends, family and members of the community would have a duty to report individuals in same-sex relationships to the authorities. Homosexual acts are already illegal in the East African country.
Side note, why these African judges still insist on wearing 17th century European wigs is something I'll never wrap my head around.
But the bill seeks to go further and criminalise people on the basis of their sexual identity. The bill passed with widespread support in Uganda's parliament.
In our country, we will have our morals. We will protect our children. We are going to reinforce the law enforcement officers to make sure that homosexuals have no space in Uganda.
President Museveni insisted that, well, he had no problem with homosexuals as long as they did not promote the practice.
Do you personally dislike homosexuals?
Of course, they are disgusting.
So I think it's safe to say that homophobia is prevalent within certain black communities. But does this intolerance lead to an increase in violence and hate crimes against queer and trans people? Who better to answer this question than Gabrielle Union, stepmother to Zaya Wade?
The intersection of black rights and the rights of the LGBTQIA, trans and gender nonconforming people continues to be rough. Black trans people are being targeted, terrorized, and hunted in this country. Every day, everywhere. And there's rarely a whisper about it.
Rarely a whisper, she says. Perhaps Miss Union is unaware of President Joe Biden's stance on the issue.
To everyone celebrating Transgender Day of Visibility, I want you to know that your president sees you, but there's always more work to do to end the epidemic of violence against transgender women of color and girls of color.
It seems that Miss Union may not have been informed about trans activists disrupting a prominent LGBTQ town hall to highlight the epidemic of violence towards their community.
I just want to take a moment before I ask my question to validate the pain of our transgender siblings that demonstrated earlier and that have spoken up today, especially Black trans women.
But let me tell you something, Black trans women are being killed in this country, and CNN, you have erased Black trans women for the last time. Let me tell you something, Black trans women are dying, our lives matter.
Stop killing us. How do we get those men to stop killing trans women of color? We are hunted.
I know.
Systematically hunted.
I know.
How do we do that?
No, you're right.
The systematic killing of trans people is a common narrative that's been making the media rounds for some time, leading many to believe that the U.S. is experiencing an epidemic of trans deaths.
Described by some as an epidemic of violence, Black transgender deaths are rising year after year. According to the Human Rights Campaign, 2020 was the deadliest year on record for transgender people. That is until 2021, when that record was broken again. At least 57 transgender people were killed in 2021. Of that group, more than 80% of the victims were people of color.
I won't go into the raw numbers, but statistics on the trans murder rate can easily be found online with a bit of digging. Based on public data, the trans murder rate is equal to or less than that of the population at large, and anywhere from half to a third of the murder rate of all males. Black trans people, on the other hand, do have a disproportionately high murder rate. In fact, it's second only to the murder rate of black males, which is 3 times higher, and nearly 8 times higher when adjusted for age. And this brings us back to Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors.
It was very important opening up the frame around Black Lives Matter being more than just the killings of young black boys.
For whatever reason, Ms. Cullors was intent on shifting the focus away from black males and onto, quote, all black lives, and more specifically, queer and trans lives, which is ironic considering BLM built its empire on the backs of dead black men and boys. Activists such as Cullors appear to be exploiting these high-profile murders in order to push their own political and ideological agendas, which seem to overlap with those of the LGBTQ community. In fact, it's commonplace to see LGBTQ issues intertwined with black issues when discussing marginalized groups, almost as if the two are inextricably linked. Take, for instance, the NAACP's recent travel advisory for the state of Florida.
The NAACP today issuing a travel advisory for the state of Florida. The organization says that under Governor Ron DeSantis, the Sunshine State has become, quote, openly hostile toward African Americans, people of color, and LGBTQ plus individuals.
Over the weekend, the NAACP issued a travel advisory for Florida, saying the state has become openly hostile toward African Americans, people of color, and LGBTQ plus individuals. Under the current governor, the state of Florida has engaged in an all-out attack on black Americans, accurate black history, voting rights, members of the LGBTQ plus community. To be blunt, is Florida not a safe place for black and gay and trans people to travel to?
Black and gay and trans people.
For fun, let's contrast this with a local news station who simply went out and asked people how they felt about the travel advisory.
In South Beach, visitors we spoke with are just happy to be here.
I personally haven't experienced anything like that in my few days that I've been here visiting.
She and her boyfriend came from Maryland.
Honestly, I think that people who are going to come to Florida are going to do it regardless. You know, they're not here to make a political statement. Most people come here just to go to the beach.
They don't impact my life, so I want to do what I want to do.
So hopefully this video provided you with additional insight into the conflation of LGBTQ and black issues in mass media and the culture at large. While activists seek to exploit the momentum of grassroots movements within the black community, they're often stymied by ideological resistance from these same communities. And despite black elites in entertainment and academia seeking to promote a homogenous, mostly liberal narrative for black Americans, millions of working class and conservative-leaning black people simply don't see eye to eye with this perspective. That's it for now. Remember, seek knowledge, stay principled, be vigilant, and always think critically.